For many people, it is self-evident truth that humans and dinosaurs coexisted on this planet. However, conventional science claims that humans have only been walking on the Earth for 200,000 years and that dinosaurs have been extinct for 66 million years. But let's be honest, what does science really know? Every year, new evidence is unearthed worldwide that proves that we humans are far older as a species than previously thought, and that dinosaurs have populated the globe for much longer. The most prominent example is the Loch Ness Monster, which is said to be a plesiosaur in reality. Other historical artifacts provide evidence that even the Khmer in Peru and the Anasazi in the United States knew of the existence of dinosaurs. The dinosaur figures of Acuna, Mexico. How could a person around 2500 BC have made figures of dinosaurs and humans from different ethnic groups around the world when there were supposedly no contacts between the continents at that time and dinosaurs were unknown? 33,000 figures showing people and dinosaurs were found in Cambodia in the state of Guanajuato in Mexico. The find was reported in 1944 by a German immigrant named Waldemar Julsrud. For a long time, there was uncertainty about the true age of the figures. In the present, a thermoluminescent examination confirmed the figures to be 4,500 years old. The figures were created around 2500 BC at a time when the cultures in Mesopotamia and Egypt were flourishing. The human representations show Europeans, Sumerians, and Egyptians in a fascinating way. Shortly afterwards, the result was officially revoked, and a new examination allegedly revealed that the figures originated around 1939. Archaeologist Charles De Peso claimed that the figures were faked, but there must be something to it. In 1939, at a time when there was neither television nor mass media, there was hardly any official knowledge about the appearance of Egyptians or Sumerians. In 1939, individual dinosaur skeletons were well known, but the enormous species richness represented by the Acuna figures was only excavated after that time. Footprints in the Biloxi River, USA. In the Biloxi River in Texas, we have another interesting piece of evidence that dinosaurs and humans knew each other. In 1908, during a drought, a schoolboy found ancient fossilized footprints in the Biloxi River. In 1935, the first large-scale scientific excavations were carried out, and the fossilized dinosaur footprints could be clearly dated to the Cretaceous period. Here you can see tracks of Acrocanthoresis, a large, carnivorous dinosaur that lived in what is now the southern United States during the early Cretaceous period, about 125 to 100 million years ago. But the real sensation was the discovery of two human footprints that could also be dated to this epoch. If the results are correct, then a human being walked here about 125 to 100 million years ago, and this human being would have known dinosaurs. For us, it is a strange and yet logical idea that this could have been the case. Interestingly, we also have the phenomenon of the footprints in Biloxi River, where the official research results were retracted shortly afterwards. The age of the human footprints was revised, and a further retraction claimed that the tracks were not made by humans, but by an animal. The Stegosaurus of Ta Prohm, Cambodia. Every year, thousands of visitors make the pilgrimage to the ruins of the largest temple complex in the world. Angkor Wat in the Cambodian jungle is without doubt one of the most famous structures on Earth. The temple city, which has been photographed millions of times, holds a secret that only very few people know. Normally, people admire the sheer size and lonely location of the former Khmer city, but the dinosaur of Ta Prohm is a well-kept secret. There is a reason for this, as the strange find is not something that the local archaeologists like to discuss. The depiction of a Stegosaurus from the 12th and 13th century AD is simply too controversial. How could the Khmer, who are said to have built Angkor Wat, have known about dinosaurs? The Khmer believed themselves to be the human servants of a supreme deity. To express their glory on Earth, this people built the largest known temple complex in the world. Ta Prohm is a rather unknown small temple on the outer areas of the complex. The dinosaur can be seen on a rather inconspicuous temple wall. Most of the visitors are not even taken here by the local tourist guides. Alternative researchers offer two explanations for the existence of a Stegosaurus on a 12th century temple wall. The builders of Angkor Wat saw the Stegosaurus in a mystical vision, or the temple complex is much older and dates from a time when humans and dinosaurs roamed the earth together. Mainstream science, of course, claims that both are nonsense because in the eyes of normal science, there are neither clairvoyant visions nor have humans ever seen a living dinosaur. Local archaeologists officially claim that the relief is of a cow or a rhinoceros with a palm tree or a lotus leaf in the background. Some even claim that the depiction is a fake and was only added in modern times to attract attention. The Carlile Cathedral Dinosaur, England. What plausible explanation do scientists have for this? This engraving is on a brass plate on a 15th century funerary monument inside Carlile Cathedral in England. The artwork shows, among other things, a creature resembling a long-necked sauropod, such as a brachiosaurus. The other depiction could be a dinosaur with a spiky tail. The carving on the monument of Richard Bell, a former bishop of the cathedral, raises questions. On the one hand, tourists and historians wonder why a churchman would have had dinosaurs or dragons on his monument, and the other question is how people in the 15th century could have known about dinosaurs. Skeptics argue that the depiction is a stylized version of a dragon or other mythological creature. Artistic representations of mythical creatures and stylized animals were widespread in the Middle Ages and the Renaissance, and the similarity to a dinosaur could be purely coincidental. On the other hand, dragons in this epoch were almost always depicted with wings, and these animals have no wings. For the fans of hidden worlds, this brass plate is another indication that people knew about the existence of dinosaurs long before archaeologists unearthed the first skeletons. It is possible that some dinosaurs were still alive at that time. The stories of dinosaur sightings around Loch Ness in England continue to this day. Dinosaur sightings are regularly reported from South America and even on some Asian islands. Individual dinosaur species are said to have survived to the present day. The Triceratops of Aika, Peru. Can all of these really be coincidences? Admittedly, with some of the images, one could actually argue whether or not a dinosaur is really visible. But here, a mistake is no longer possible. The Aika stones in Peru, whose true age is still disputed today, clearly show dinosaurs. One of the most famous images of that is of a Triceratops with the typical pointed snout, neck shield, and horns. In the Aika province in Peru, there are between 50,000 and 100,000 engraved stones showing people riding or hunting dinosaurs, advanced technologies such as heart and brain surgery, telescopes, and spaceships. The artifacts are made of andesite, a volcanic rock that is very abundant in the region. For decades, the stones were in the possession of Javier Cabrera da Craya, a private collector of rare artifacts who personally believed that his stones had been made by an ancient interstellar civilization. Later reports claimed that a poor farmer admitted to carving the stones in the present and selling them to collectors or tourists for a lot of money. Anasazi Dinosaur Petroglyphs, USA. The Anasazi are a people who are at least as mysterious as the question of whether dinosaurs and humans crossed paths. This people, now officially believed to be the ancestors of the Pueblo people, were said to have the ability to travel through time. Myths of the neighboring Diné culture tell of the Anasazi appearing out of nowhere on Earth. They then lived a fruitful life in the canyons of the Grand Canyon for 200 years, until the Anasazi disappeared in the same secretive way that they had appeared. All of this is said to have taken place around 1,300 years ago in the Acuna Bridge region of present-day Utah. The most famous legacies of the Anasazi include the unusual houses, which are not found anywhere else in the world, an extraordinary knowledge of agriculture, and a petroglyph that resembles a sauropod dinosaur. A 2010 study, however, claimed that the alleged dinosaur image is not an intentional representation, but consists of several natural colorings and mineral deposits. But can this really be a coincidence of nature when we consider the other fantastic facts surrounding the Anasazi people? Nessie, the plesiosaur, Scotland. Who has not seen the famous pictures and depictions of the monster from Loch Ness in Scotland? The waters in the high plateaus of wild Scottish nature are said to be inhabited by plesiosaurs that still live today. These archaic marine reptiles had a long neck, a small head, a broad body, and 4 paddle-like fins. The first sighting of the strange reptile dates back to 565 AD by an Irish monk named Saint Columba. In one biography, it is told how the pious Columba saw a monster in the river Ness, which flows into Loch Ness. The monster, in Columba's account, was attacking a man. The monk allegedly stepped in and ordered the monster to retreat, which it did. The modern legend of Nessie began in 1933 when a couple saw a large creature in the waters of Loch Ness. This sighting triggered a wave of reports and speculation that turned Nessie into a worldwide phenomenon. To this day, it is unclear whether a population of plesiosaurs could have really survived. Plesiosaurs lived in seas and oceans around the world during the Jurassic and Cretaceous periods, around 200 to 65 million years ago. They were marine reptiles well adapted to life in the water, and their fossils have been found on almost every continent. Fossil finds show that plesiosaurs also lived in the waters of Antarctica when the climate there was significantly warmer. We cannot rule out the possibility that a strain of plesiosaurs adapted to life in cold waters. Such genetic mutations are known all over the world, and after all, we ourselves are a species that has adapted extremely well to different habitats and climatic conditions. Subscribe to the channel now. We are constantly publishing exciting videos on current topics and the great mysteries of the world.